All right, so let's go to the review. And what I'm going to do first, you'll want to write this down. This is super important. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and give you the problems that are going to be like the ones on the test. I'm not going to give you the exact one. I'm not telling you the exact problem that's going to be on the test, but I'm going to give you, like, you know how there's like 3 or 4 or 5 problems that are, all kind of similar to each other? I'm going to give you those, and one of those, I'm not going to tell you which one, but one of them is going to be on the test. Okay, so I took it right from the homework. So I'm going to give you, so this is number 1 on the test. All right, so if you look at page 94, and if you look at numbers 25 to 28, one of those, it could be an odd, it could be an even. One of those is going to be on the test for number 1. Everybody follow what I'm doing today? All right, so I'm showing you the style of problem that's going to be on the test. So if you look at page 94, look at numbers 25 to 28, one of those is going to be on the test. So I'm kind of giving you everything that's going to be on the test, but you just don't know exactly which ones. All right, so number 2 on the test is page 94 again, excuse me, and it's 29 to 34. All right, so look at 29 to 34. They're all kind of the same style of problem, but one of those is going to be on the test. Page 95. So number 3 on the test, you got a 50-50 shot on this one. It's either going to be 37 or 38. And then page 95 again. Number 4 on the test is going to be something like 43 to 48. It's going to be one of those problems. Thank you. And then 53 to 56 is number 5. So that's section 1-1. All right? Section 1-2. So we're only going to do 1-1 and 1-2 today. So that's all I'll give you. I'll give you the rest of them on Wednesday when we go over this. And I'm recording this, so if you need to go back and look, you can. And if you're not here on Wednesday, you can always look at the recording. But we are taking the test on Thursday, so if you're not here on Wednesday, you got to watch it that night. So section 1-2 goes to page 106 and 9 to 12. So it's going to be a problem like 9 through 12, one of those problems. It's not going to be like it. It's going to be exactly one of those problems. Just not telling you which one. Can't give all the fun away, can I? Can I? Did that help the last time when I gave you every single problem? It didn't help a lot of people. So I don't know if this is going to help you or not, but 47 to 50. And number 9. It's page 107 again. Yeah. 61 to 64. And then number 10. It's page 107 again. And it's 67 to 70. All right, there's your test. Half of your test anyway, okay? So one of your problems is in here, 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 and so forth. Everybody got the idea, right? All right. Thank you. If you came in late, I got lesson plans up here. Grab a lesson plan. So pick one. Oops, there we go again. What happened there? Pick one from number 1. Well, why is it doing that? That's so weird. Let's try that again. There we go. Which one? So 25 to 28. Which one? Somebody give me one. 27. Okay. So we're gonna do number 27 from section 1-1, page 94. So 27. All righty. It says to solve So this one should be one of the easiest ones on the whole test. Would you agree? I don't know. Haven't seen the whole test yet, have you? So, but it's pretty easy. So what do you think we do here? We got to solve for x, it says. Let me make sure this is recording. Yes, it is. First thing we do, we'll just go through it. I got 10 problems to do, so let me just go through it and show you, okay? If you have questions, stop me. Take that negative. What do we do with that negative? Distribute it. That's right. So make sure you do that first. So 8x minus 3x minus 2 equals 3x minus 10. Let's add some like terms on the left side. 8x minus 3x is 5x. And then write everything else down. Now let's get the x's on the same side. So I'm going to take the smaller one and put it on the side with the bigger one. That's what I usually like to do. So I would subtract a 3x from both sides. Some people like to always put the x on the left-hand side. That's fine. Okay, but I usually like to take the smaller one and put it underneath the bigger one so that I always get a positive x. All right, you don't have to. Let's do this in the same step. We move the 3x over here, so you know that's going to cancel out. Let's take that 2 and put it on the right side. So we move this down, you get 4x equals, that cancels out, equals, what's that, negative 8? Divide by 4, and x is negative 2. That should be your answers. Who's going to be my fact checker today? Did I mess up? What did I do? It sure should be. See, I was just seeing if you were paying attention. 5x minus 3x is not 4x. How did I get 4x? I don't know. That would be 2x. And that would be negative 8. Did I do that right this time? Okay. Divide by 2. X is negative 4. There you go. Now fact check me. Should be right. So somebody keep like a little bookmark or something back there at the answers just to make sure I'm getting these right. I don't want to mess you up. So 27, section 1-1. Okay, good. Yeah. I did. It's right up here. All right. Number 2. Which one do you want to do from number 2? 29 to 34. Which one? Anybody? Give me a number. Come on. I'm just going to pick one. What's that? 33? All right. 33. Let's do that one. So 2/3. Do you mind if I write an x instead of a p? Yeah, you do mind? Or yeah, go ahead. I don't mind. I think I put all x's. I don't think I put any. I don't know. It's just, I'm weird. You can put any letter you want in there. It doesn't make any difference. I just like the x's. All right, let's do this. We got an x by itself. So it looks like we should just minus a 1/2 from both sides. But then we got to subtract and find a common denominator and all that mess, right? So I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is try to get rid of the denominators, okay? So let's get rid of the denominators. I collected homework, so turn in your homework. So let's get rid of the denominators. So what do? I got a 3, a 2, and a 3. How do I get rid of those denominators? Well, I multiply everything by the common denominator, or the least common multiple. All right, so what would that be? It would be 6. I'm not going to wait for you to answer. I'll just, since we got 10 problems to do. So we multiply everything by 6. Why did we multiply everything by 6? Because that means the denominators will all cancel out. And then I don't have any denominators, okay? Makes things a lot easier. So 3 goes into 6 twice. 2 goes into 6 3 times. And this 3 goes into this 6 twice. Looks like a little bit of a mess, but let's clean it up a little bit. I got a 2 times 2, which is 4x, equals, what do I got here? Just a 3x. And then what do I got here? Just a 2. Now that looks way better, doesn't it? Yeah, absolutely. So I subtract a 3x from both sides. Probably do that part in your head. X equals 2. Circle it, and that should be good. All right, so that's number 33. Any questions on that one? Just get rid of the denominators. Now look, you have one class period to do 20 problems. So you need to know what you're doing. You cannot sit there, look at a problem saying, I I wonder what I should do. If you're thinking that, I would go to the next problem. Okay? Everybody hear me on that? So make sure that you have an idea how to do every one of these problems and you know how to start. Don't sit there and take 5 minutes trying to figure out what to do first. All right? So make sure that you're good on this, because it's going to take every bit of your time, and you are going to be limited to that one class period. All right? You've got corrections the next day. All right? If you didn't get one, if you missed one, or if you just didn't know how to do it, then learn how to do it that night, that Thursday night, because you know it's on the test. And figure out how to do it, and then get it right on the corrections. All right, number 3. This is 37 or 38. Let's do 37, since that's odd, and we can check the answer in the back. So let's see, 37. There we go. Okay, this is kind of similar. X plus 1 over 3 plus. So number 2 is just an easier version of this. But it's the same style. Again, you don't want this denominator here. So let's get rid of the common denominator. So we multiply by the least common multiple, or the common denominator. You just multiply them together. It's 21. So you multiply this by 21. Now here's where it's a little bit different than the last problem. You've got to do this. It's super important that you put that in parentheses. Okay, same thing here. You multiply this by 21. Now remember, you got to multiply everything by 21, not just the things that have fractions. So that means you got to come over here and multiply that by 21 as well. Everybody with me so far? Same step as the other one. So as soon as you look at this problem, bam, you should know exactly what to do when you see this on the test. All right? The 3 goes into 21 7 times. This 7 goes into this 21 3 times. Nothing cancels here. We just multiply those together. So let's see what we get here. We can distribute right here, can't we? Do you need to write down the step 7 parentheses x plus 1? I don't think so. I think we can just distribute here. So if I multiply the 7 by everything in this parentheses, what do I get? 7x plus 7. That's why it's important to put that parentheses around this. Okay? Then right here, distribute that 3 through here. So it's 3x plus 6. And you multiply those together, that's 42. Make sure I'm adding stuff right and subtracting and all that kind of stuff right, okay? Because sometimes I go too fast and I mess up. Let's add like terms. 7x plus 3x is 10x. 7 plus 6 is 13. And that equals 42. Excuse me. Did I do everything right so far? Yeah. I think so. Subtract 13 from both sides. So 10x equals, what's that? 29, is that right? Okay. Divide by 10. Look, don't write this as a decimal. Okay. You could, I would give it to you, but just leave it like this. Nothing divides into 29 and 10 evenly, so we just leave it a fraction. Just leave it 29 over 10. There's no reason to change it to a mixed number. There's no reason to change it into a decimal at this point anyway. If this was physics, or if it was some engineering class, then you would probably put it into a calculator, find out what the decimal approximation is. But for now, just leave it like that. Is that it? Okay. All right, let's keep going. Let's go blue. What are we on, 4? So 43 to 48. I would say stick with the odd ones, right? Just so we can check to see if it's right or not. So what do we got? 43, 45, 47. Which one do you want to do of those? Aren't they all kind of the same? 43, 45, 47. Yeah, which one? 47. Okay. Now, when you're studying for the test, hopefully you're going to study for the test, and you're not just going to wait until the test comes and say, oh, I hope I know how to do this stuff. So if you do go through and you do the problems, I would do the odd problems. I'd go through the whole list that I gave you at the beginning of class. I would do the odd problems and then check and look in the back to see if you got them right. That's what I would do. All right, so let's look at 47. So it's Z. I'm going to put an X. Is that all right? x squared plus 1 equals 3 plus x squared. All right, well, the first step right here, I think is kind of obvious, don't you? Distribute the x through here. So let's see what we get. So we get x cubed plus x equals 3 plus x squared. I guess that's the best thing to do. Yeah, I'm sure it is. All right, let's do this. What did I do? Go ahead.
It's a 3x cubed for the top one and the bottom.
For 47? X squared plus 1. Oh, it's x cubed. Okay, good. I was going to say, I was looking at this. I'm like, I don't know why they would make that problem at this situation right here. But now I see what they're doing. Thank you for that, Justin. All right. That looks a lot better because my heart started beating a little bit right there because I was like, uh-oh, I didn't expect that kind of problem this early. So that makes it much, much better. All right, so if you take a look at this, basically, you're pretty much done, aren't you? What can you do? Subtract what? Say it, Trey. Yeah, subtract an x cubed from both sides. All right, so that goes, and what's x? 3. Is that the answer? Good. Wow, that was an easy one, wasn't it? Hope that's on the test, don't you? All right. I've already made up the test, so you can't try to get me to put a certain problem on there because it's already done. What's that? No, you can't bribe me. Well, it depends on the bribe, maybe. I don't know. I'm just kidding. So now we got 53 to 56. So let's try 53 or 55. Take a look at the book. 53 or 55. 55 looks a little longer, doesn't it? A little tougher. Let's do 50. Is that her recommendation? 55? All right, let's do that one. 2x minus 3 equals 3 over x plus 5. Now, there's a couple ways you could do this. When I was putting this on the test, I was like, you know what? I didn't show them a certain method on how to do this. I showed you how to do this, okay? But I don't think I showed you another way to do it. Let me show you another way to do it that I don't think I showed you earlier. It's a little easier, to tell you the truth. I don't think I showed you this. You tell me or not. I don't know. I can't remember. So what I would do is cross multiply, okay? When you see a fraction set equal to another fraction, okay, did you hear what I just said? When a fraction is equal to another fraction, that's called a proportion. But when your fraction is equal to another fraction, that's when you can cross multiply. Okay, some people like to cross multiply when it's like this times this. No, that's not when you cross multiply. You cross multiply when there's an equal sign in between. All right, so you can multiply here. So if I multiply these two together, you could just do this in your head, do the distributive property in your head, but I'm going to write it down for you so you see what we're doing. So you multiply those together diagonally, and then you multiply these two together diagonally. All right, so that's what you get right there. Once you do that step, the rest is pretty easy. It's almost like that first problem that we did. So let's go through it. So let's distribute 5x plus 25, and that's 6x minus 9. I would take the smaller one and put it over here, even though it's on the right side. I know some of you love to put the x on the left-hand side, but I like to have the x positive, to tell you the truth. So I got the x on the right-hand side, so let's add a 9, put that on the left-hand side. So that adds up to 0. This is what, 34? This is x, and that's it. That adds up to 0. That's your answer right there. Okay, you can keep it like that. Or if you're a little OCD like I am, then put the x first. X equals 34. Fact checker, we good on that? All right, good. Isn't that fun when you get an answer right?
So are we going to have to do any of the ones that on the test? Are we going to have to do any of the ones that are good information?
We haven't got there yet, but yeah, there's a couple of them, I think. I don't know exactly how many off the top of my head, but yeah. What was that, 5? Okay, so now we're on section 1-2. So that was section 1-1. So everybody's good. Everybody's got the first 5 right on the test, correct? Yeah. Good. Let's hope so. So let's do number 6. So it's 9 to 12. This is page 106. So if you turn to page 106, 9 to 12, any of those, I think I just say on the test to solve it. I don't say how to solve it. I just say solve. But this says solve by factoring, so it kind of gives you a little hint. All right, so 9 to 12, which one do you want to do? 9 or 11? 11? Okay. I don't care. Which one? Tell me. They're both the same, aren't they? Not really. 9 actually looks a little harder than 20 or 11, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's do 9. Again, I don't have the test in front of me, so I don't even remember. I mean, I did it on Friday. I wrote it up on Friday, so I don't even remember which ones I put on there. But I do know what types, because I did go through and I put what types. So I don't know exactly which one I picked, but this looks like something I could have picked, I guess. All right, so we have to solve. And it says solve by factoring, but I can't factor, well, I can factor, but it's just pull out a common factor first, okay? Always see if there's something in common here. Is there something in common, excuse me, with both of these? Yeah, what's in common with both of these terms? An x, so we factor out an x. So if we factor it out, I get this. And really, that's the only factoring I can do, isn't it? So I kind of lied. This was actually a little easier than number 11. Because it's just you factor out a common factor. I was looking at it, I was thinking you had to do something else, but no, it's not the answer. We got to solve for it. Okay, so what do we do here? Set them what? Yeah, set them equal to 0. So when you see two things multiply together and equals 0, I mean, that should just pop in your head, shouldn't it? It should. Okay, at this point, we've done a lot of these. All right, so this should just pop in your head. Oh yeah, I set them both equal to 0. If it didn't pop in your head, get it in your head so that when you see it on the test, you'll say, oh yeah, that's that one where Mr. Hamrick said it should just pop into my head. So that's one of my answers right there, x equals 0. And then I just solve for x here, x equals 9, and that's it. Do I really need to check it? If you have time left over at the end of class, right, and you look at the clock, you got some time, sure, go ahead and check it, okay? But as I'm taking the test, I would just write it down, okay, and just keep going, because you don't want to, you want to make the best use of your time. If you have time afterwards, you can check it. We're not doing those today, but what kind are those that you have to check? When you do what to it? When you square both sides, okay? When you square both sides, that's the ones that you have to check, because you could have an answer that is that doesn't exist. What's that big word that we learned? What is it? No, it's kind of no solution, but we used a word for it. Nobody remembers? I'm trying to remember myself, tell you the truth. I see it. Extraneous, right? An extraneous solution. I can't believe that I forgot it. But I can believe it because I forget all kinds of stuff. I'm getting old. All right, so number 7, 31 to 34. Which one? 31 to 34. So you could do 31, 33. Those are your odd ones. So take a look at the book. 31 or 33. Which one looks more ominous? 31? Okay. So let's do 31. So it's x minus 1 in parentheses squared. When I was in college, my professor always said, instead of saying x minus 1 in parentheses like I did, he says the quantity x minus 1 squared. Okay, so when somebody says the quantity x minus 1 squared, that means that x minus 1's got to be in parentheses. Just thought I'd throw that out to you. I still remember that almost 40 years ago, about 35 years ago. And he said the quantity x minus 1 squared. All right, let's do this. So what do we do here? Say what? I didn't hear the first part. Did you say? Write two of them? Yeah, you kind of could, I guess, but that's going to make it more difficult for us. If we go x minus 1 times x minus 1. Somebody said it. What'd you say? Yeah, I would square root it. I would get rid of that squared, okay? So square root this side, square root this side. So if we square root this side, it's not just square root of 4. What is it? There's something that we put before it. Plus or minus, thank you. Plus or minus the square root of 4. It's really important because you're going to get more than one solution here, okay? You could put a big old square root here if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I know it cancels that square out. Everybody good with that? So now x minus 1 equals plus or minus. What's the square root of 4? It's 2. So x equals 1 plus or minus 2. Don't keep it like this, though, because we can simplify that. So what is it? It's x equals, what's the plus or minus mean? It means 1 plus 2, and it also means what? 1 minus 2. That's what the plus or minus means. It's two things. Okay, you add it and you subtract it. Everybody got that? All right. So here's our answer. X equals 3, and what? X equals negative 1. Just take a quick peek just to see if it works. We could probably check this super quick, couldn't we? We don't really have to because we didn't square both sides. But let's just take a peek. I'm interested to see if it works. Put a 3 in for this. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Does that equal 4, what it was originally? Yep, that works. Put a negative 1 in there. Negative 1 minus 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. Yep, it works, okay? So you didn't have to really write it down. But if I don't have my answer key to look at, I'm going to check it, kind of quick just to see. Like same thing with this. Look, this is easy. If stick a 0 in there, 0 squared is 0, minus 9 times 0 is 0, 0 minus 0 is 0, right? I can check that in a matter of just a couple seconds. Put a 9 in for this. So 9 squared is 81. 9 times 9 is 81, minus 0, bang, checked. We good? All right. What was that, 7? Tried to go green before and it didn't turn green. I don't know why. So let's try it this time. 8. So we're doing 47 to 50. So that means what? 47 and 49 are my odds. So which one do you want to do? 47 or 49? What's that? 49? Okay, let's do 49. Now, I'm not saying that even ones won't be on the test. You understand me, right? I'm just doing the odds today just because I can always go back and check, all right? But I could put one of the even ones on the test. So just keep that in mind. But the even ones are, pretty much just like the odd ones. So I figure if you can do the odd ones, you should be able to do the even ones. I believe on the test, if I remember right, I say find the real solutions. Okay, that's what it says. Okay, find the real solutions. I don't say how to find it. You could do this by completing the square, or you could do this by factoring, or you could do, if it factors, or you could do this by the quadratic formula. My guess with you guys, we've rarely talked about completing the square, so I really doubt that you want to do it that way. So my guess is you probably want to do this by quadratic formula. Would I be right on that? Yeah, I would think so. I think you like the quadratic formula. Do you like it? Yeah. So that's probably what I would use here. Why? Because it doesn't factor. Okay, looking at it real quick, is there anything that multiplies to be negative 1 and adds up to be negative 4? No, there's no way I could get that. So it doesn't factor. So I have to use the quadratic formula. All right. If you know it off the top of your head, you don't have to rewrite it on the test. Okay, time is of the essence on a test. Okay, so do as little writing as you really need to. So I'm just going to put it in. So x equals negative b. Negative b would be 4. It'd be positive 4. Then, Mr. Hammer, you said negative b. That's a positive. Well, it's the negative or the opposite of negative 4. What's the opposite of negative 4? It's positive 4. You should get that. We've talked about that so many times in here. All right, square root plus or minus square root b squared. So if b is negative 4 and I square it, I get a 16 minus a 4 times an a. That's my a right there, which is a 1, times the c is right there. Always take the sign in front of it, and that's a negative 1. So that's my b squared minus 4ac over 2 times a, or 2 times 1. I'm just going to leave it as 2. And now it's just, we plugged everything in, now we chug, we do the work. It's basically just arithmetic at this point. I mean, if you wanted to do this in a calculator, you could, but to tell you the truth, I wouldn't do this in a calculator even if it was me, just because I think there's so many negative signs here and square roots and all that kind of stuff where I think it'd be way too easy to mess up on the calculator, okay? So I would write it out. I would write it out and just do this. Okay, this is pretty easy anyway. So look, I got -4, -1. That's going to be a positive right there. So 16 plus 4 is what? 20 over 2. Should be able to do that in your head, right? Yeah. You guys are seniors. You've had enough math. Let's simplify this square root of 20. Remember, the square root of 20 is 4 times 5, isn't it? It's 2 times 10 as well, but why did I pick 4 times 5 and not 2 and 10? Because I could take the square root of 4, and it comes out to a nice even number, right? Not even, just a whole number, I should say, not even. So what is this? If I simplify this right there, what is that? It's 2 squared of 5, that's right. And you need to do that because this needs to be in simplest form, okay? And it needs to be reduced as far as it can go. And you need to do this. If you leave it square root of 20, it's not simplified. It's not reduced. So you always have to reduce it. Even if I don't say it on the problem, on the test, even if I don't say, make sure you simplify all your fractions or anything like that. No, that's just common knowledge, all right, that you always simplify. Now, what can we do here? You can do a couple things. This 4 divided by 2, because both of these things right here are being divided by 2. Everybody see that? If I wanted to, I don't really need to do this, but if I wanted to, I could do this. All right, put them both over 2. But again, that takes more time. What I would do is this. Just 4 divided by 2 is 2, plus or minus. What happens here? This 2 divides into this 2, and we get square root of 5. Okay, so that's what x is equal to. It says find the real solutions. Is this a real number? Yeah, why would it not be a real number? What's the only situation where it would not be a real number? Now, negatives can be real numbers. If it had an I, okay, if it had an I in it, then you would not include it, okay, as a real solution. So if it says find the real solutions, it means you don't have an I with it. With me? We didn't do the I's in section 1-2 anyway, did we? Wasn't that till like 1-3 or something like that? Yeah. So we're not going to have any I's in that one. We good? All right. Yeah, it was pretty easy. That was basically just knowing quadratic formula. It was all that was. All right. Was that 8?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm tired of same colors. Let's try. This is kind of different color. So let's do 9. So 61 to 64. So 61 or 63? Which one do you want to do? 61 or 63? Which one? 63? Okay. 63. So fractions. Minus x equals 1/3. All right. Well, we haven't done this exact problem, but we talked about something a couple problems ago. We got to get rid of something. What do we want to get rid of? The denominator. That's right. So we talked about this. How do we get rid of the denominator? Multiply by the common denominator. Okay, they're both 3, so what's the common denominator? It's just 3. So I multiply that by 3, multiply everything by 3. Even this, even though it doesn't have a fraction, still multiply that by 3. And then come over here and multiply that by 3 as well. That works out nice because look, the 3's cancel out. What am I left with? 5x squared minus 3x equals, and this 3 cancels out with that. What are we left with? A 1. Kind of looks like a quadratic now, doesn't it? All right, because it's right next to number 8, which was a quadratic, all right? So we're kind of in that quadratic area now. But it doesn't have equal to 0, so I want to make it equal to 0. So I'm going to take that 1 and put it over here on the left-hand side. So I've got 5x squared minus 3x minus 1 equals 0. If you want to try to factor it, you can. I wouldn't even waste my time. I would go straight to the what? Quadratic formula. So negative b, same thing as we did before. This is a -3, so what's the opposite of -3? It's +3. Plus or minus square root b squared, which is 9, minus 4 times A, which is a 5, times C, which is a negative 1. That's all over 2 times A, which is 2 times 5. That should be very familiar to you at this point. Let's keep going. 3 plus or minus, we're looking 3, square root. So what do we got in here? So that's a 20, right? Positive 20. So 9 plus 20. What's 9 plus 20? 29. Am I right on that? Over 10. Yeah. Does anything simplify? Can I simplify the square root of 29? No, it's a prime number, so nothing but 29 times 1. Does anything cancel out? Does anything go into 3 and 10? No. So guess what I can do? Just circle it and leave it. That's my answer right there. Is that the answer, Josh? Number 63.
Yeah.
All right, good. We're on a roll. How about that? Of course, I've gotten one wrong so far. What about you? Have you gotten them all right? Because I had to get some help. Have we done this pink? Let's do this pink one. So now, number 10. So we're halfway, after this one, we're halfway finished. So 67 to 70, so the odds are 67 and 69. So let's take a look. Which one do we want to do? 67 or 69? Either one. You tell me. I'll do the first one somebody says. 67. Okay, so let's do 67. 4 minus 1 over x minus 2 over x squared. That equals 0. All right. Well, it's kind of like what we did before. Okay, we don't like the fractions, so we got to get a common denominator. But this time, the denominator is what we're actually trying to solve for. So let's figure out what it is. I got an x and an x squared. What would my common denominator be, or my least common multiple? Would it just be x? It has to be something that both of them divide into. So x divides into x squared, and x squared divides into x squared, right? So we're going to multiply everything by x squared. Multiply everything by x squared. Even the 0. But you know what's going to happen to that anyway, right? So what do we get here? We get a 4x minus by x squared. That's right. Thank you, Josh. Oh, sometimes I go too fast. That's a good lesson for you guys. I didn't do that on purpose, but you're right. I'm multiplying everything by x squared, and I should have multiplied that by x squared. So 4x squared, what happens here? This 1x goes with one of these x's, so I'm left with minus 1x. What happens here? This cancels out with that completely, so I'm left with a minus 2. 0 times x squared is 0, and now I work on this. You could try to figure out if it factors or not. I'm not going to worry about that. For the third time, guess what we're going to do? Do the quadratic. That's what I would do. Okay, I would do the formula. So negative b, so that would be, oops, almost put negative. It's positive 1, isn't it? We've talked about that already. Plus or minus square root. B squared, which is 1, minus 4 times a, which is another 4, times c, which is a negative 2, over 2 times a, which is 2 times 4. Equals 1 plus or minus. Make sure you're checking my arithmetic. I've been known to make mistakes. So what's this? This is going to be a plus again, right? Negative times negative. This is 16 and 2, which is 32. 1 plus 32 is 33 over 8. And that looks like that's my answer because nothing simplifies. 33 times, or 11 times 3, but I can't take the square root of 11 or 3. So that doesn't simplify. Nothing cancels out. That should be my answer. Josh? Thank you. So that's half the test right there. Okay? Now, you're thinking, well, Mr. Henry, you took like the whole class period to do half the test. Yeah, but I sat there and explained it all. Okay? And plus, we didn't get started right at the beginning. So if I would have just done those problems, straight from scratch, I would have definitely been finished at least halfway through the class period. Okay? Probably quicker than that. And that's one thing you should do, especially on a math test. Okay, since you know pretty much exactly what's going to be on the test, I would do a little test yourself. Set your little timer, put your phone up there, put a timer on it, right? And then put yourself under a little bit of pressure. Because when you take the test in class, aren't you under a little bit of pressure? Don't you feel a little pressure? Yeah. And that's a good thing. I'm okay with that. There's people that say, oh, we should take it easy on these little kids. We don't want to put them under a lot of pressure. They're young. But no. I call bull on that, okay? I say, you guys need to be under pressure, okay? You need to know how to deal with pressure, okay? And tell you the truth, taking a test is not the most pressure in the world, all right? But it's a little bit of pressure. You need to know how to deal with pressure. When you're on a sports team, whether it's academics, whether it's music or in a play, and you got to remember your lines, there's all kinds of things in life that you learn in high school that puts you under a certain amount of pressure, and you need to learn to deal with pressure. Because life, I'm telling you, when you get out of school, when you get out of college even, okay, life is going to be a lot of pressure. You got to figure out, how am I going to pay these bills? What should I pay first? How am I going to get the money to pay these things? Should I buy this? You're going to be under a lot of pressure. So learn to deal with it in high school, okay? And that's going to help you when you get a little bit older. There you go. There's my life lesson for today. All right. All right. So of course, we don't have class tomorrow. Wednesday, we're going to do this exact thing. Is this okay? Does this work for you? Okay. So we'll do this on Wednesday for 11 to 20, and then you'll take the test on Thursday. Okay? All right.